Welcome back. The South Coast is cleaning up after a powerful windstorm rocked much of the region. In its wake, it left tens of thousands of residents without power. Hydro crews have been out in full force to repair the damage.
While a family of 5 slept inside, this massive tree came crashing down on their townhouse Sunday morning.
It sounded like a bomb. It sounded like the whole building it sounded like an earthquake actually.
At the base of a tree, a water main. Residents say the roots were recently cut when the city dug a trench. The townhouse caretaker says something was wrong with the water main about an hour before the tree came down.
The water was flowing down the street. It was a river coming down the street.
On the North Shore, alarming video of smoke and flame after a branch came down on some high voltage lines. At the height of the storm, more than 73,000 BC Hydro customers were without power.
The hardest hit areas were the lower mainland, particularly Surrey, Delta, and Langley. And then we also had significant outages on the Sunshine Coast, Gulf Islands, and Vancouver Island as well.
It's not just trees that came down. One woman in Vancouver is lucky to be alive after a traffic sign slammed onto the hood of her car.
It was a huge bang. Yeah, a really big bang, and it really shocked me, and I had to sit there for a couple of minutes trying to figure out what had happened.
Downtown, a tree came crashing down at Sunrise Market, injuring an employee in her 70s.
Her arm is nicely swelled up like that, and her back is sore when she hit the curb.
And a close call in Port Moody where a woman standing at a bus stop was hit by a large limb that broke off a tree. She went to hospital to be treated for injuries to her shoulder and arm. Back in Surrey, a city worker surveys the damage. For now, the family that lives here has to stay at a hotel.
Tragic news coming from Vancouver Island. 2 bodies have been discovered in Campbell River after an all-terrain vehicle tumbled into a fast-flowing creek on Sunday. One person was able to scramble out of the water following the accident, but 2 others were swept away. A body was discovered late last night, the other found this morning. Several groups were involved in the search, including Campbell River Search and Rescue and the Coast Guard. Another pedestrian has been hit at the same Burnaby crosswalk where a teenage girl died last week. This time the driver fled the scene. A man was sent to hospital with serious but non-life-threatening injuries Saturday night after getting clipped by a vehicle at this crosswalk on Caribou Road. The driver didn't stick around.
It was actually terrible. It didn't even sound like they applied the brakes when they hit the guy. He just screamed right through the intersection and kept going.
Police are looking for witnesses. The vehicle is believed to be a black Dodge Charger. Residents are calling on the city to put in lights at the crossing. A man is recovering in hospital, and police are searching for a suspect after a mid-afternoon shooting in southwest Edmonton. It happened just before 4 p.m. Sunday near 120th Street and 22nd Avenue. The area taped off by police, and bullet casings could be seen on the ground. Early reports say a man fired multiple shots at a white Audi sedan before taking off on foot and climbing into a white pickup truck near 119 A Street. The 25-year-old man shot drove away from the scene by officers. He was taken to hospitals. His injuries are not life-threatening. Police believe it's a targeted attack. Hearings have begun into the impact the Trans Mountain Pipeline expansion could have on local ecosystems, parks, and homeowners in Burnaby, Coquitlam, and North Surrey. Municipalities and residents will have their say at the 8 days of hearings. Burnaby is a major opponent of the project and has publicly battled Kinder Morgan. Ottawa approved the pipeline project in November of 2016. And people who anticipate the lands may be adversely affected by the route were able to file statements of opposition. The second set of hearings will be held in March. There was heavy police presence in Robson Square overnight in what appeared to be the shutdown of a makeshift pot market. This was the scene shortly after midnight. Several squad cars parked in Robson Square. It appears officers were loading the contents of market tents into a truck. For several months, stands have been popping up in the square selling marijuana and other cannabis products. In recent days, we've looked into concerns that minors are able to buy drugs and edibles there and shown you violent confrontation with vendors.
Neutralize them! Don't hurt them!
Last week, Vancouver Mayor Gregor Robertson says he doesn't see the situation continuing, but made no firm commitment to shutting it down. Whilst the VPD said resources in its drug section are largely dedicated to the deadly opioid epidemic.
Stay tuned. We are taking steps. We're not ignoring it. We want to assure everybody that we are considering various options, and hopefully we can come up with a solution with the vendors and with the city and with ourselves that, and the citizens of Vancouver and those visiting, that makes everybody somewhat satisfied.
This morning, the square was relatively empty as a message that was sent that it won't be tolerated. The vendors who pay to be there want enforcement to continue so that it doesn't turn back into a drug market. Mount Washington Ski Resort is reopened. It was forced to shut down yesterday after a massive snowfall over the weekend. An estimated 110 centimeters of snow fell in just 24 hours. Vehicles were left stranded, and many were forced to spend Saturday night in their cars or in the resort's lodges. The snow was up to the roofs of many cars in the parking lot when they finally attempted to dig out. The resort says a number of runs are open today, while 2 are closed for avalanche control.
Never seen that much snow in that short a period of time.
BC Ferries is now completely smoke-free. A ban has gone into effect on all vessels and terminals and includes smoking of all substances, including e-cigarettes. The BC Ferries banned smoking inside vessels in 1990, but passengers could still smoke on outdoor decks. Those outdoor spaces are now smoke-free. BC Ferries is also offering programs to any staff who want to quit. A unique sight for an Edmonton couple when they saw a dog chasing 2 coyotes over a frozen lake and into their backyard. This video is from Darcy and Tara Musurichin, who live in the Carlton neighborhood in northwest Edmonton. You can hear the dog's owners calling for him. The dog spent some time chasing both coyotes. It was after some time before the coyotes took off. Tara says she helped wrangle the dog afterwards. We're going to take a quick break now, but first, here are the closing market numbers for today.